Hello. Okay. Yeah. So cybersecurity is not the crime. It is the totality of tools, policies, practices, and all you do to secure your information infrastructure.
Is that a conventionally agreed upon definition by everybody, or does anyone want to top that up?
Yes, I do agree with Dr. Sibe, and I want to make this illustration so that we can all readily understand. When it comes to terrestrial security, we have organizations like the NSA, Nigerian Army, Air Force, the police, NCDC, and all the other agencies. They are handling our terrestrial security. But cyber security has to do with the internet, the cyber. So we don't really have a ready organization handling that part of the activity ecosystem. So cyber security is engaging.
So I would just simply say that we have enough security framework for terrestrial security, land security, marine security, Air Force security. But in terms of the internet in Nigeria, we do not have, say, specific organization, no agency to handle the security on the internet. So that's what we are talking about, and we need to have such framework. Legislation need to recognize an organization to do that for us to really handle this effectively. So I want to bring that just illustration to, for us to put in context.
Fair. All right, so I guess the first question that I really have to get into this is, should there be a review of the standard operating procedures for companies that experience data theft or cybersecurity failure incidents? Do we need to review that? Because in the last, I would say 2 years, 3 years, we've seen different kinds of behavior from companies, from a failure to alert users, to delayed alerts, to people who simply refuse to admit that they have been breached in certain cases. And most of these cases, user data gets stolen and winds up on the dark web, which facilitates cybercrime on the back end. Do we need to review that? And if so, what should those policy reviews look like?
Hello? Okay. So thank you very much. So I agree with you that yes, we do need to review the policies. Especially today, we have specific organizations being focused on financial institutions, fintechs. But there are a lot of companies that leverage technology, that hold customer data. You know, for example, the airlines, for example, you make payments to them, and like you mentioned, delays and missing funds that take forever. And these policies don't necessarily get to them until there's a complaint to a particular agency. But I know NITA and, you know, I think the new minister for digital economy too, they are putting things in place to ensure there's proper coverage, and I think it needs to be effected immediately. So today we don't report on security incidences because people are afraid to either lose their job or the reputation of the organization. So I think some confidence should be given to the organizations that please report to the community to share knowledge, to help every other person put controls in place without the fear of, you know, it impacting your brand or you losing your job. So there's a lot that needs to be done, and it should go across board.
Okay, to add to what he just said, security itself is seen as a journey. Some people think security is just manning, the perimeter of an organization. Manning the perimeter of an organization, you've set up a standard, you've set up your policies, not knowing that security itself, it's a continuous, journey. Take, for instance, you talked about physical security. We have the military everywhere, right? In the cloud, we don't have a proper organization that is responsible for monitoring the activities in the cloud. More so, in the networks, like in most organizations, you have your networks where 2 or 3 computers connect together, you have a network. And there you could have your security policies, you have your security team. Outside of that, there should be a conference of all of these 3 coming together to ensure that security is actually security takes its rightful place in the activities of every organization. Thank you.
Dr. Sibe talked about the Data Protection Commission. that the President commissioned last year. Now, part of the requirement is that organizations, they have data controllers, data owners that take responsibility. So implementing the data protection law will actually help to improve the standard operating procedure. Because there is usually annual audit of data protection organizations. So they do audit and they need to make requirements. Importantly, if you're an organization that wants to succeed, you must take cybersecurity very, very seriously. Because if you don't take it seriously, as Dr. Sibe and Dr. Thompson talked about, you will lose a lot of money. And if you engage some frameworks like ISO 27001, and you engage certified forensic expert and cybersecurity expert, then they will follow the procedure. There are methodologies already in place that will help to secure our infrastructure. So the threat is so much there. But let me say this. It's not that we're so bad in terms of the cyber crime issue. What we have also seen, Dr. Sibe, is that there are a lot of masking going on. There are a lot of Chinese, Russians, Ukrainians that are pretending to be Nigerians that are also we see their footprint, okay, on the system. So it's not really that we are so bad, but we need to do a lot of strengthening our cybersecurity defenses.
Dr. Sibe?
They've done very well in terms of throwing light on this. I'll just go in another way. So in the course of my presentation, I use the phrase rapidly evolving threat landscape a lot of times. What that means is that the landscape is constantly evolving. The threat types and the threat actors are changing every day. As a matter of best practice, the policy you wrote yesterday or last year is not always going to be the most effective policy as at this year. So it is important that we continue to revisit these policies. You have different policies, and I mentioned a couple of them: user policies, incident response policies, BYOD policies, a lot of this. And that's why you have threat intelligence, which is trying to know proactively what's going on out there so you can plan when those things do come close to you. So yes, these policies need to be constantly updated. And in organizations, it's usually instituted, even in the policy, it is defined the next time you're going to update the policy. Apart from the incidentals, there might be an incident that will make you quickly, revisit that. But even when there is no incident, you are supposed to define, the regularity of your updates of your policies.
Okay. Having said that, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about entry-level cybersecurity questions. Now, factually, there is a shortage of cybersecurity roles. There's a shortage of people to fill the roles, pardon me. And I think at the last time that I checked, according to you, and I think you were right, it's over 4 million and still counting. And with the number of cybercrime groups that have sprouted up over the last 5 years, it feels as if you squash one and 5 more show up. But what should a person who wakes up today, maybe one of the people who's sitting in here, a young man or a young woman, for instance, who wants to get into cybersecurity, what are the first couple of steps you think they should take? Do they need to get a degree? Do they need to do a few courses on Udemy? Do they need to pick up a programming language? Do they need to write type-safe code? What would you advise them to do?
Hello? Sorry. So maybe I should jump on it before he jumps on, before he says cybersecurity is easy or anybody can do cybersecurity. And this is me coming from a point of view where I've been part of different programs, even like the MD mentioned, for Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, we train for people to develop capabilities in cybersecurity and get jobs. And we discover a lot of people come on board because there's a buzzword, there are a lot of jobs, like as mentioned, they pay well, every cybersecurity person is comfortable. But the will and drive to develop the skills is the challenge. So, and we've done a lot of programs. At my organization, we do 2 internship programs every year, and we even onboard people from different programs to come get more technical skills. So you can't survive, you can't be consistent in cybersecurity if you don't develop technical skills. You can come into cybersecurity, maybe IT GRC, which is ISO 27001, security standards, but what else? So for example, if you don't have the technical capabilities, how do you want to audit and assess a blockchain infrastructure company or a company that's built an AI solution? You need technical capabilities. You need to understand software. You need to understand networking. You need to understand systems. How do computers work? How do programs work? That's the only way you can now think of securing them. So in my office, we used to say something. You need to be able to break for you to be able to secure. So the best guys in securing are those guys that can break. That's why today you see programs like converting Yahoo boys into cybersecurity guys, because they have those capabilities, skills, So that skill that you used for BEC, come use it to protect for email security, for example. So technical skills, as in I'm not even jumping on that bandwagon that anybody can do cybersecurity. No. You need, for every young person, develop technical skills. Go and love it. Love programming, learn Python, learn those technical skills. Thank you.
You had to go with an interpreted language. Please go on.
Okay, well, I think what is most desirable is passion. You need to have serious passion, regardless of your background. That's where I differ a little. Because cybersecurity, has a lot of ramifications. Okay, you have the technical aspect, you have the soft aspect in terms of policy. Okay, we're just talking about policy. I think the other day we were at the National Assembly. We need people to speak for cybersecurity. Now we have a loophole in the cybersecurity, in cybercrime law. We need people that will be able to point it out. Tell the legislators that, look, we need improvement in this. Why the tech people are busy? So there are a lot of ramifications. There's going to be Global Digital Compact in New York in September, where the world body will come together to be talking about issues, including cybersecurity. They're not technical real people. In fact, I was talking about cybersecurity. You have diverse people that could be part of it. The government people are part of it. Like, I love the way, Dr. spoke. Well, he could be a technical person. Sorry, I don't know the detail, but at least anybody in government, once you have passion, you can be part of it. Talking about implementation of policy, technical people, the technical community, yes, as he mentioned, the technical, the business community, the business people, they need to be involved as well, because there's a business aspect of it. You can do business for cybersecurity, selling solutions. When you know the solution, marketing it as part of it. Okay, and the civil society, you need to mobilize our people. Like NDCC coming up with this, we need civil society that will continue to engage. He has opened the door. Civil society need to engage and tell and say, look, we still need your youth to be sponsor this team more, okay, and individuals, general individuals. So I believe passion is much more important, and you can upgrade down the line. So that's my view.
More opinions?
Permit me to just respond to him. Okay, so the gap that you mentioned in the policy is because they didn't carry technical people along. So today, the way forward for closing those gaps in the policies is inviting private sector, inviting guys that have implemented, done hands-on. They are the ones that can actually tell you what technical controls should be beyond the policy side. So why it's always recommended to be more technical when you start is you can now become a consultant, GRC, civil society, stakeholder. I can go into government, I can be a special advisor on cybersecurity. I've done the hands work, I've been a foot soldier. I know better, definitely. So it's better you get those technical capabilities first and then close the gaps.
Well, if I may, this is an interactive panel. You see, I don't want to scare any youth there. I don't want to, because when you hear technical, oh my God, mathematics, and they begin to run. Because, the way they portray mathematics for me in the secondary school, I nearly lost it. But later I caught up and I said, wow, it's so easy. So it's actually easy once you have the passion. It's already established that when you are talking about digital governance issue, like cybersecurity is a digital governance issue, you need to bring in all the stakeholders. Okay, there's a term called multi-stakeholderism. Multi-stakeholder. Anything you want to do, even you technical, you want to do anything, bring in the other stakeholders. The government, at the local level, okay? You must comply with the local law, okay? The government, the civil society, the technical community, the business community, and other stakeholders. So that is exactly what we're talking about globally. You have a role to play because it concerns everybody.
Sorry, to add to what he just said, there's what we call the 4 Ps of cybersecurity: the people, the process, the policy, and the partners. So we all come together to ensure that cybersecurity is seamless. Now, let me paraphrase this way. It is possible, I want to bring it down to a layman term. You want to become a pilot, right? Yes, I want to become a pilot. You get into the cockpit of an aircraft. You take off from Port Harcourt. You know your final destination is Lagos. Before taking off, the traffic control officer gives you the coordinates and gives you the weather condition. But the moment you take off from Port Harcourt, you get up there, it's a different ball game altogether. So that is where your technical skills come into play. It is now left to you as a pilot. Should I increase my altitude? Should I bring down my altitude? Should I navigate left or right? You know your final destination is Lagos, for instance. So the technical part of it is important, as well as your passion part of it. But the most important thing is, do you have a passion for cybersecurity? Thank you very much.
Let me add to that. So on a lighter note, I'm an Ogoni man, so that means I like to eat swallow. And I like all the exotic soup that this region has. It's arguably the best region where you see the best soups in the world. But I like this soup doesn't mean I can cook them. So I love it, but I can't cook it. So most of the time I see a lot of persons who love cybersecurity because it sounds right, because they hear all the pay, the 6-figure salaries out there, but they don't quite have the passion. If you have the passion, which is, I think, what is common among all of the speakers here, if you have the passion and, to know that, look, it is not just about the name, but you have to get down and develop this skill set. And I'll give examples from my own establishment. So when I was starting Digital Footprints, I had the challenge because there's a lot of cybersecurity companies in Nigeria, so that was good. But I wanted to do digital forensics the way it is done ethically and professionally. And so the first challenge was, you and who? Yeah, those days when we were playing monkey posts in football, say I won, and another person says I two. There was no I two. I was I one alone. So I had to look for my team. Now I asked for CVs, and I saw people with experience. But what I studied among those people with experience, not core forensic experience, but cybersecurity experience that could be easily, specialized or dovetail into forensic profession. So I found out that a lot of them just left their job, maybe they lost their banking job, or they are 1 foot away from Canada. And I was a startup. I didn't want anybody that would just waste my time and leave after 6 months. So I took a big risk by staking on the young people. And these young people, all I looked for was, yes, they are technically gifted, not necessarily in forensics, but they are technically gifted, even in general computer science. I saw in them the passion, and I saw that they were ready to learn. So I took a big risk on them. One of them is from Uniport, another one is from University of Calabar. Those are 2 Niger Delta institutions, Uniport here. The Uniport person came as a youth corper. Today, I read their forensic report with pride because over the last 2-3 years, these boys have honed their skills, they have dug deep, the company has paid for certifications for them, they have certified ethical hacker, the company paid for computer hacking forensic investigator certifications for them, and today, if those boys leave my company and go to anywhere in the West, 2-3 months, they would be gainfully employed. So, but they didn't just walk into that skill set. They had to work for it. But were they ordinary people when they came in? Yes. They were just technically gifted at the foundational level. But more importantly, they had the zeal and the passion to dig deep and to learn.
Okay. This is April of 2024. And a couple of weeks ago, for those of you who are on the Linux side of life, some people are not going to be happy that I'm making this distinction. Sorry, Patrick. For those of you who are on the Linux side of life, you might have heard of the XZ utils backdoor, which showed that contrary to what we've always thought, open source software is not necessarily bulletproof. Apparently, there was a threat actor who joined the contributing community for XZ utils and was contributing for over 2 years and managed to sneak in a pretty good backdoor. And this is how we get back to being nice to Patrick, because Patrick, it was a Microsoft person who found the bug. So you guys had a good day at last. Congratulations. Is it possible for us to rely on cybersecurity education for young people, knowing full well that a lot of the tools that they might want to use might also be compromised? And if not, what would you suggest they do?
Okay, let me jump straight. If you're learning cybersecurity as a degree, for instance, you find out that perhaps about 40 or more % of what you're taught is actually not technical. That's a bit surprising for some persons here. There's a large dose of what they teach you around ethics. There's a large dose of what they teach you around even laws. So even cybersecurity is rooted in law. With the lawyers here, you know, there was Evidence Act first in the 40s, and then later it was reviewed, and then in 2011 it was amended to allow for admissibility of digital evidence, and even very recently, last year, the current president also further signed a further amendment of it. So cybersecurity itself is also rooted in law, so it's not all technical. What this means is that, yes, you teach, as you're teaching the technical, you're also teaching the non-technical on the ethical use of this technology, of the skill set which you're learning and which you're using. In a proper institution, there's always a use policy. Okay? There's always a use policy, and my daughter was, getting into secondary school recently, and during the interview session, I had to ask that question, because I know children are very adventurous, and you leave them on the system, they could go to any site, and I didn't want my daughter to be exposed to such a network. So I asked them, sorry, do you have a use policy? If you do, can I see it? They didn't have one. So a proper institution should have a use policy. A proper institution also should have some tool that will be able to audit, periodic auditing, to see what actually happened on the system. Everything you do on the system, and in choosing the name of the company, that's why I chose Digital Footprints. You leave a footprint, okay? Which means that I can roll back and see everything you do. If it's in Windows, there's a thing called registry. The registry actually takes every single thing you do. If you plug your flash drive on the computer, it will tell plus the serial number that is not written on the flash drive. When you put it, the time you put it, if you connect to your Wi-Fi, it will tell when you connected to the Wi-Fi. If you use your laptop to come here, it will tell that you were here. But all those things are not seen by you. So if you have a proper system that has proper processes, proper audit mechanisms, you are able to, and proper preventive mechanisms as well. So you could, if you know that a site is potentially a dangerous site or a category of site, you don't want them to go, for instance, social networking, within school period, you could also blacklist all of those things. So it is possible, but nothing happens automatically. You have to plan.
So just to support follow through on what he has said, for schools and environments that don't have acceptable use policies, I think over time I've seen scenarios where, from the adventurous nature of these students, we capture them on time, and then we carry out interventions where we now convert that to a positive side of things. So in the offensive security space, there are the black guys, which is the black hat guys, and the white guys. So at the point where you can be adventurous and it is destructive, then you are black. And then eventually the transition is to be an ethical hacker. So today in our offensive security team, we have students from Footmina, Unilag, they are year 3, year 4, full-time jobs, doing amazing work. Still students, they've not served. So it's possible, it's doable, But yes, like we had mentioned for the former question, the passion is there. They have these skills, so we are letting them use those skills on security tools than on playing games and doing other things. So I think it's another way beyond control is keep it open, identify, and then convert. So a program can make that happen.
Yeah, awareness has a lot of role to play in this. Awareness. Once there is sufficient awareness, at least a level of control in that if you are not informed, there's already a deformation because there's a misuse of tools that are available. And also, because Sibe talk about the registry, the logging mechanism is a great asset, control to know what is going on. Every system, in fact, that's why they talk about software testing. You need to check the integrity of those software or the system. Do they have a checklist of all these features to be able to do proper audit? Like talking about non-technical person, you can have a CISA, and with a CISA, you'll be qualified to do a lot of audit work, all those basic checks.
Penultimate question, and then I'm going to have you gentlemen do something rather cute for the audience, but we'll get to that. Here is my final ask. The Niger Delta region is one of those regions that has literally one business for every house on every street. There is no shortage of people who are enterprising and willing to launch out on their own. We have a long history of not waiting to be fixed, of just getting up and doing for ourselves. That in 2024 and the years beyond will amount to a significant use of internet technology. I need you gentlemen to each give us, the audience, some tips that small and medium scale enterprises can employ to protect themselves better without necessarily breaking the bank.
Hello? Okay. Very good question. So we're an organization that we embrace SMEs. The first question we would always respond to is, yeah, we know there's a budget issue, but you need to run your business securely, as in build securely, build to last. So if you measure properly, you can actually put controls in place, inexpensive controls in place to start with as you grow and as you scale, and then start putting in enterprise security controls in place. Like we would always tell you, the easiest security control today is security awareness. So let's say you can't even afford to comply to the NDPA standard, because it will cost maybe $1 million. But you know the standard, you know the requirements, you know what you need to do. You've done some awareness for your staff, your developers. Let's say it's a tech company. You're building solutions. You're building with security in mind, secure coding. So their secure code best practices, OWASP top 10. It's online. Coders code with speed. They don't have time. They're targeting go-to-market. They use ChatGPT. They don't edit the codes. They don't review codes. But and for example, for code review, there are the expensive tools. There's also peer review, which is you can actually look at every line of code by yourself. It takes time, but it's also a learning process for you to learn and understand how to code securely. Yes, you will use community editions of solutions. You will use freeware. You will use open source tools. Those tools are actually good enough for your scale. But as you grow, or as you get funding, as you make the first million, you need to start thinking security, because your infrastructure will change. You would scale. You would open more channels. You need to do vulnerability assessment and pen testing. Use a student. Don't use an enterprise company. Or come to the company and give them an offer. That yes, do it for us for free and we'll do that. Whatever it is, build with security in mind. First, you need to know what it is, and then you can know which affordable ones we can do now. But the security awareness is the easiest one. Don't click on a link in that mail. So don't bring malware to your organization. You can have a laptop without an antivirus. Say antivirus costs $30. Say you don't have $30. But you are using your system, you don't click on links, you don't open attachments, you don't know where it's from, you don't go to funny sites. There are just a lot of things you can do. You've not put antivirus, but you are operating securely. You would run effectively. But then again, most of us can afford that. So the first thing is on all your endpoints, put endpoint security. then later to your servers, then ensure you are building your code securely. For whatever business you are doing, you sell stuff online, put two-factor. Facebook, Instagram, put two-factor. So someone can go to your page and sell or move funds or hijack your account. Easy things to do. Two-factor authentication, very easy to do. Don't share your passwords, very easy to do. Thank you.
Patrick?
Yeah, I think the starting point is actually from your password, right? There's nobody in this place that does not have a phone or a smartphone. And one thing is, why do you protect your system? Take your phone as a system, right? You're connecting to the internet. So let's start from the basics. How is the composition of your password? A strong password is that password that has these 4 characteristics. 1, it must be alphanumeric. 2, it must have a white card. 3, numbers, okay? And, by the time you put all of this in place, that is the first layer of security that you have attracted to yourself. Secondly, you do not share your password with anybody. Sharing of password, I've been to an organization where somebody says, okay, my boss is on leave, he needed me to do some authorization, he gave me his password. In the event of the unexpected, who's going to be held responsible? It's the boss. Because you gave your password to a third party. Rather, there is a way in the system where you can actually delegate responsibility to whoever you want, those responsibilities to be delegated to. So your password is key. I'm trying to speak to everyone here because this is one thing that concerns everybody. And again, how often are we supposed to change our passwords? I know somebody who has had his password for the past 20 years, the past 10 years. That is not right. Somebody could guess your password and circumvent your system. So it is advisable intermittently that you change your password from time to time. I guess I've done that. Thank you.
Okay, that's great. I have the privilege of being a consultant to the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa on the cybersecurity. And I did a research with them recently that shows that a 10% increase in cybersecurity maturity will yield about a 5.4% increase in GDP per capita. In GDP per capita. In fact, if you deploy internet in your business, a 10% increase in your internet penetration, in your use of the internet, you can actually produce or cause an increase in your GDP per capita up to 8.2%. So that shows clearly that nationally, we should encourage IT use and cybersecurity. At the state level, we should encourage it. At the regional level, we should encourage it. At the local level, we should encourage it. So it's a good thing that if people are taken into enterprise at the local level, we need to sustain them. We need to help them. And that's why we commend the NDDC for this vision. It's a landmark vision, and it needs to be sustained because it's a productive aspect. Like the MD mentioned, that they want to be there for the long haul. So I'm hoping that maybe they've signed an MOU up to about 5 to 10 years with the organizers, going to the future. So it's very important. Now, antivirus is very important. It's a malware, anti-malware, actually anti-malware. Very important because there's what they call this internet crawler. They crawl. As long as you are open on the internet, even if they'll crawl to you to check you out. There are bots always running around to see the nodes all over the place. Even on top of OTT, they are always checking. So you need to be ready. The OTT is over the top, system. So you need to be ready. So awareness comes in, like this Expo is a part of awareness. We need people to amplify it up to the local government levels. Up to local government levels. Because this is just city, Port Harcourt. But we need to, all the local government in NDDC, it's a serious issue if we want to grow our GDP. The president talked about economy of 1 trillion naira. Oh, sorry, dollar. Sorry. An economy of $1 trillion, and we're just about $400 billion. So to grow, we need to secure our system, people should not be losing money, because before you know it, you'll be losing money, one way or the other. So awareness to take care of us, phishing, spamming, phishing through the phone call, and all those tricks that those people have. So,
final thoughts, Dr. Sibe?
It will be difficult for me to state something without still re-echoing what was earlier mentioned, which is awareness. At the risk of sounding repetitious, we keep saying it. Awareness is very important. And just to add that, awareness is not just about coming to speak English as we are doing to say there's cybersecurity. You talked about the Niger Delta. There's a large rural population. There are also ordinary folks who don't know what cybersecurity is. So it is now left for us to develop the right messaging for different categories of people. I saw on the internet a few weeks ago, a young man wrote a physics book in Igbo, and I found out to be very profound. So in terms of messaging, we need to direct and tailor our messages for different categories of people, different audience, for it to actually go home. Then after that, I'll just add one more. For something, I was trying to think what is common to everybody. Everybody here has a device, and we're always seeing pop-ups as to whether you should update an app or your operating system. And because we are trying to save data, we do not do that. Let me tell you the implication of resisting that. Now, patching an application or an operating system means that you are simply upgrading it, because those who develop these applications have, for instance, seen security vulnerabilities. It's like coming to say, the owner of this place comes to say, look, that door, you want that door locked while this event is going on. But I just discovered that the lock has been compromised. Therefore, I have changed the lock. Here is the new key. Every time we refuse to do that, we are simply saying, don't change the lock, leave the old one. I don't care who has the spare key. So always update your devices, because it is in your interest.
Good advice, yes? All right. Gentlemen, just so we have a firm impression on the audience, I'm going to ask each one of you to get up. I'll pass the handheld mic. Get up, reintroduce yourself to the audience, tell them where you work, and as a favor to me, tell them how long you've been doing this. Who would like to go first? Yeah, no? Where's the handheld mic? Fantastic.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Gbolabo Awelawa. I'm the Chief Solutions Officer at Sibe Vagent, a digital trans company. So we're into cybersecurity, risk management, compliance management. And I've been at this for 2 decades, 20 years.
Well done, well done. You see that? So you see, we don't all look very old.
My name is Patrick Isicheli. I'm an Assistant Director, Business Application and Training from the Niger Data Development Commission. This is my 27th year in the system.
Okay, so who's counting? So that's 20, 27. We now have a total of 47 years in just 2. Let's see how far this goes. Dr. Jimson?
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Jimson Olufuye. I'm the chair of the Advisory Council of the Africa City Alliance. This is a private sector-driven alliance for IT associations, companies, and individuals across Africa. When we started in 2012, we were about 6, and today we're in 80 African countries. And Dr. Sibe is our distinguished board member in AFICTA. Well, my day job, that was for voluntary. My day job, I run Contemporary Consulting. It's an IT firm. We have been in business since 1995. And as a matter of fact, I was in Port Harcourt 35 years ago as a copper. Okay. And I thought you were clapping. I know how happy that I was. I'm also a homeboy, not only him. Yeah, that time I was the chief chess coach, and the River State won gold medals in the male-female category in the national sports at that time. And you're still doing great anyway. So you can see immediately after my service, I worked a little for another computer firm, and then I started on my own. So looking at 34 years.
The numbers just keep going higher and higher. Dr. Sibe, if you say 50, I'm going to fall.
Okay, I am Dr. Tombari Sibe. I'm the CEO, Lead Forensic Examiner, Digital Footprints Nigeria Limited. Prior to that, I also founded eSense Technologies Limited from Port Harcourt. I actually have 22 years post-graduation experience, and out of that, about 18 years as an entrepreneur, as a 26-year-old, 27-year-old. I had a crazy idea of resigning from the bank I was working, Guarantee Trust Bank, to start my stuff. And so when they tell you that there's job out there if you have the skill, that's reality. I'm a testimony to that. Outside of what I do now, my father was a teacher, so I come from a lineage of teachers. I can see my big uncle, Professor Benan, and he's also there. Where we come from, we teach. So I decided to go back to teach, and I do that in part for free and partly paid. I'm a lecturer at the River State University Computer Engineering Department. I also volunteer to teach cybersecurity for free at the National Open University, as well as supervise PhD cybersecurity projects for free as well. I don't get paid because I wanted to do it as a way of giving back. Outside of that, I serve as a research fellow to the University of South Wales, as well as the dissertation chair at the Capital Technology University, Maryland. I also sit on the advisory board of the Illinois Institute of Technology, also with Dr. Mo. Thank you.
We're going to give two people opportunities to ask questions. I already see one hand up. Oh, two, no, I know the both of you. No, both of you can't ask both questions. You come as one. I don't think that's how it works. All right, we'll take one question from that row. I see another hand up over there. Okay, one there. That was the first hand that went up. That one, yes. The light-skinned one with absolutely no hair. Yes, him. No, him, right there beside you, yes.
All right, please, I want to ask, seriously, all these major grammars you put together, so much technical words put together, I want to ask from the basics, like I'm getting old now, okay? But I'm interested in cyber stuff. From the basics, what can I do now? From the basics, because first, I am not IT person. I am a marketer by profession and an entertainer. But I want to dabble into this. What can I do at the basics to start?
Thank you. I concur to his question. Look at us, we are over 50. What can we do? Dr. Sibe, help us. But they have plenty six-figure up and down, plenty money. NDDs itself, they can even sponsor two of us and buy us. Without even say they cost $10,000. So now, Apple. MD, sir, we are interested. We have the passion. We are crazily passionated into cyber cafe. Okay, cybercrime. Please, what can we do at this age to start from? Please don't write us off or help us.
One. Okay, that's the first question. It's not a bad question. Would anyone like to field that before we move to the next person? Anybody would like to answer that? What should late life, late stage new entries into cybersecurity attempt to do first?
Okay, well, it's good that they've shown passion. And passion with humor. I think that is a great resource, you know. At this level, you need to have a business to start with. It's good to read or to know that the ease of doing business has been highly enhanced. So you can set up a small enterprise, get stakeholders that like minds come together. And very simply, you can be in the advocacy part of it, okay? Be the figure, be the brand in a way. You can be the brand, okay? And I think it will be a great one. Anyway, don't forget the consultancy, this one I'm offering, okay? So, but there are more things you can still do anyway, but that's basic.
I'm pretty sure they'll find you when the day is up. Dr. Sibe, any additions?
Yeah, just to add to what he said, two things. One, we're being practical, so I'd also be very realistic. When I get new intakes, I always tell them that I want you to be better than me in about a year, technically, and I mean it. And what I mean by that is the younger ones are more adventurous. They are more likely to spend the hours I cannot spend. I'm more strategic, I'm more business-oriented. This my two elder brothers. It is Naira they are seeing, not binary digits, which is the fundamentals. So, but they have a role. There are things they can do. One is partnership. So, if you look, a lot of the people behind, and I know a couple of young people also in this town that are very gifted. Some is just a few bucks, some is space that they are looking for. So, partnership. Get those who are very gifted technically. Everybody must not be in the technical space. There are other aspects there is cyber law, for instance, if you're a lawyer. There are other non-technical aspects of it. And my elder brothers are excellent communicators. When I talked about having the right messaging, there are very few persons who can beat them in communicating in a certain way to a very large population in this space. So they could help in that messaging. And in my presentation, I did appeal to the MD to consider, sponsoring that outreach, that awareness, so that a lot of our folks who are getting into these things without knowing why they are getting in, or even they don't even know it's a crime. So people like our elder brothers can be enlisted to give that right message. Cybercrime sounds too exotic. I think we can have a language, our own language for it. Yahoo also looks too, street-like. We can craft different messages for different categories of people, and they can deploy their fantastic, speaking abilities and acting abilities and creative abilities to tell of the dangers of cybercrime.
Well, I think it has been a very, very interesting discussion. Starting from...
Mic is on.
It's on. Starting from the presentation of Dr. Sibe, I think if there is one gap I have noticed here, because Dr. Sibe actually exposed the gap in terms of people taking advantage of the opportunities available in the cyber security space. He talked about how the institutions in the region have not been able to take advantage of that opportunity. Hence, people are not really there, especially in the region. You talked about 4,000 opportunities available, which the people have not been able to access. And everything that was discussed here, you talked about all the opportunities, the beautiful opportunities, and our own safety too, how we should be able to take advantage of cyber security, how to also protect ourselves and the rest of them. But one thing that we should also know, not everybody will have the opportunity to be in this kind of discussion again. I know that this is an expo that possibly all the tech giants in Nigeria and within the region are here present. But one thing I also want you to educate the audience on is, if we as government says we want to encourage our people to take up skills in tech and to make out, to ensure that those opportunities are available to them, you will agree with me that we will not be able to cover up everybody. Those whom the government will not be able to cater for, or those who think that, yes, after the end of this program, they want to look for the nearest institution where they can obtain these skills, we have not been able to tell them where to go. Because you must also tell them, go to ABC, go to social institution. This institution is good in this. This institution is good in that. I think my brother from Lagos on the left tried to even expatiate on it a little bit, but he did not drop because he only told us that his firm has been doing that for the Lagos state government, and he's very, very optimistic that they've been able to be giving jobs to people. So I think we, on our own part too, while we are carrying out our own programs, we also intend, partner with such organizations so that once they are being trained, we know that they can easily look for jobs for them. So I only just want you to just a little bit educate the public so that those who are here who are also very, very much interested in cybersecurity, they know specific places to go so that they can also cater for themselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Gentlemen?
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. MD, sir. Within the Niger Delta, there are a lot of places where you can acquire such skills. As I speak with you presently, ongoing now, there's a partnership between Amazon and Cisco. They are organizing a free cybersecurity training within the Niger Delta. It is free. Hold on. I said in Uniport, as I speak with you now, it's a 5-day training that started on Monday. It's ongoing. Secondly, NIT is just a stone throw from here. NIT is another good place where you can acquire such skills. And a lot more within the Niger Delta. Thank you.
Any more takers?
All right. Thank you, MD, for the question. So I will start for females. Today, there are groups that are being set up to empower the girl child and females that want to go into cybersecurity. There's Cyber Girls, Cyber Safe Foundation. You have to be online though. I think most of us are online, so you just need to focus on using your data for LinkedIn and some productive sites, not Instagram. So there's Cyber Safe, Cyber Girls program where you can apply. I know about the AWS program too, and they move across different regions. For my organization, we are currently, for those that have graduated and have some required prerequisite skills, we are running an internship program currently, which is applications are open, so I can share the link with one of the organizers and you can go and apply. So I think we should kick off next month. Also, from an organizational perspective, we are open to partner with the NDDC or the state government to provide the roles of developing capacity, develop a curriculum, train citizens of the states to develop the skills too. But yeah, there are a lot of platforms. AWS would even let you do some free certification exams, especially if you're female. So any female in this room that wants to develop cybersecurity skills, you have a better chance than even the guy. So yeah, there are indeed a lot of platforms. You can go online, CyBlack, there are a lot. Udemy, there are a lot of platforms. Coursera, there are a lot of places you can first develop the skill and be able to put it on your CV that, yes, I did this free course, I did this free course. So it shows potential, it shows drive, it shows passion, and that employer would say, you know what, let me try you because you've put an effort in training yourself, albeit for free. Thank you.
More?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question from a decision maker, Dr. Ubuku. I think we need to be very strategic, and I liked your passion concerning that. The United States government, they are specialists in doing something. They provide grants, targeted granting. It's a targeted granting that came up eventually with the internet. It's targeted granting that came up with Google, and so on and so forth, so many of them. So NDDC should not be afraid of building capacity of many youths. Produce millions, as many you can produce. Push. 4 million jobs are out there. Some will go up there to be earning dollars. Why some can serve here? And then another thing you can do is every project you have,
always ask the question, what is the IT or cyber component of this? And when that project is to be implemented, okay, there will be a requirement. Just like in the US, they always talk about special interest, okay, that you must employ so number of IT this, IT that from Niger Delta concerning this project. So all those clauses, it has to do with the MOU signed or the agreement signed with the contractor. Usually everybody use IT these days, so for any project, there has to be component of cybersecurity, IT skills requirement, project management, require that so number of staff should also come from Niger Delta. If you don't require it, they will bring people from China, they will bring people from anywhere to take the job. So it's everything has to do, we are spending your money and you dictate how it should be used to capacitate your people. When the people are capacitated, they can go on their own, like Dr. Sibe set up their own and provide more skills. Look, Nigeria is porous. We need maturity. Our maturity level is low. So we need more people. In fact, DNS abuse is rampant. DNS abuse is a major issue in the domain name system. That's internet abuse general has been outlined. So we still need more capability. But a lot comes from the government itself to use those grants, those resources properly. Thank you.
Okay. Let me add to that. First, to acknowledge that the question is a very valid question. If I am over there, I'm going to ask the same question, because if you look, even from me as a practitioner, I will struggle to name places that I would direct you to, and you would have a fair chance to intern or maybe walk. That challenge is there, but then challenges are meant to be overcome. So how can we overcome it? I'll speak to the both categories of people here. One, the ordinary people, and two, institutions, particularly the commission that is a leading institution here from the government side of things. As individuals, there is no shortcut than to develop competencies. I'm today a cybersecurity and forensic expert. A lot of what I learned on my own. I know that I have a certain master's and PhD from American universities, but what those degrees did to me was to equip me with leadership skills, not necessarily hands-on skill. A lot of the hands-on skill that I have today are things I had to learn myself. And even when I was studying with forensics, there's no forensic lab for me to even go and learn. So I started to offer free services. I'm not going to mention, but a law enforcement agency, I was doing free services to a law enforcement agency. So that's the hard thing I'm going to ask some of our youths to do. Sometimes you have to intern for free. Now, there are a few institutions out there. My institution is one of them, but there's so much we can do. We have a contract, we have a partnership with the National Open University where we accept their PhD students for internship, because I can't think of any organization that have a proper forensic lab in the true sense of it. So we decided to give that automatic slot to a federal institution where Nigerians can have that opportunity. I've also realized that for you to reach out better, you need a non-governmental organization, structured in that light. So recently one was set up, the Cyber Skills Bridge, which is particularly designed to bring this kind of training to ordinary people and not just end at that, but get mentorship. The plan is to get people from across the world, professors, industry people, people, when the time comes, we're going to reach out people like Dr. Jameson to serve as mentors, even if it's a remote mentor where he spares 10, 20 minutes per week speaking with these people and helping them, direct them properly. That's another thing. Then from an institutional point of view, and this is for the commission, about 12, 13 years ago, I went to a place at the time was called HTC, Houston Technology Center in Houston in the US. It's now called Houston Exponential. Now, they set up an incubation center. And what is interesting is that Houston bears similarity with this region, basically oil and gas driven. And the commission also bears a similar structure A lot of persons don't know, but the oil and gas companies also contribute to the commission as well as the federal government. So that center is funded by big oil tech companies as well as the state of Texas and all other key players. They are a technology hub and an incubation center. And they have helped they have incubated a lot of businesses. We have young people out there who are creatives, who have the skill set, who have the technical know-how, but they don't even have a space. Some don't understand business. Some don't know how to function as an entrepreneur. So we can set up, and I know the NDDC has the financial muscle and the goodwill to do so. We can set up some kind of incubation center that will drag these big oil companies, that will use your institutional powers to drag Microsoft, to drag Google, to drag Facebook into funding this, and a fund that will be transparently managed and privately managed in a transparent manner where people can be brought in. We have often done a lot in terms of empowerment trainings and all that, but the reality is that, and this, I'm not saying this, to get any claps, please. The reality is that most often, those who have the mental capacity to really do very well in tech are not given the opportunity. So while it is good to give opportunities across board and across to some very critical brothers we have who have played critical roles, I believe they have, I agree they have, they need to be settled. But let us also design a scheme for the very gifted ones, the very gifted ones, even if every year is 100 across the 9 states. And this we have identified, these are excellent, talented people. And if you give me those people, if you give my colleagues here, those people, in 1 year, they could turn them to champions if those people are passionate to learn. I give you an example of my staff that I got today. They are experts that I'm very proud of. So it is possible that we can set up these institutions that can soak up our people because they don't have the space, even when they have the technical know-how, they don't have the space to practice, and they don't have the knowledge to even flourish as entrepreneurs. Thank you.
Excellent answers across the board. With due respect, we are way over time for this particular panel, and we need to make room for the next. Gentlemen, would you please rise up and take a bow?